This is an anime recap video, and in this video, I'm going to show you a boy named Osato, who is accidentally summoned to another world along with his friends Yukami and Kazuki, and becomes a healer magician, aiming to defeat the demon lord. Our story begins with a boy and a girl walking towards their classroom. On the way, they encounter some students who think they are cool and wonder if they are dating each other. It turns out the girl is the head of the student council, named Yukami, while the boy is her subordinate, named Kazuki. We are then introduced to a boy named Osato Ken, an average school student, who has no friends and always spends time alone but loves to help animals and birds. One day, while helping a group of sparrows, he gets late returning home. Suddenly, heavy rain comes down, and some students take his umbrella. Wondering what to do in this condition, he thinks of stealing the umbrella of another student, but since he is a kind and loving boy, he realizes that this is not who he is. Just then, Yukami walks in and asks about his umbrella. Since she is the president of the student council and doesn't want a student to get drenched in the rain, she offers to lend him her umbrella, but Osato refuses it. Her subordinate, Kazuki, comes in and tells her that he is his classmate, and gives him his extra umbrella. Osato wonders how Kazuki knows his name since they haven't talked to each other in class, but thinks that he must be a good guy. They then introduce each other and head back home, declaring that it must be fate that brought them together. But Osato feels that students will get jealous of this since he is walking with the popular duo in the school. On the way, he tells Kazuki that he thinks of him as a girly boy, who only talks to girls. But Kazuki denies it, stating that he only replies to the girls who talk to him. Osato also tells Yukami that he thinks of her as a goddess, but Kazuki informs him that not only is she kind and beautiful, but she also tops every subject and is great in sports. Hearing their heartfelt conversation, Osato asks if they are dating, as he heard so many rumors about them in school. However, Kazuki shuts him down, revealing that their relationship is just a senpai and subordinate. Since no one said this to their faces, Yukami tells him that she admires his courage, calling this way better than talking behind their backs. She then asks both of them about their future plans, but they reveal they have none. Kazuki asks why she always asks this question, to which she tells him that she doesn't have herself, and she does not belong in this world. Hearing her words, Osato realizes that she is his opposite, as he himself wants to have a popular life, while she gets everything she wants easily. Just then, Yukami and Kazuki hear the sounds of the bells ringing and stop on the ground. They ask Osato about it, but he hears nothing. Suddenly, the sound of the bells gets louder and a magic circle appears below them. Osato thinks of this circle as a gate to another world, which sparks a brief interest in Yukami, and the next moment, they transform to another world. After that, they wake up in a royal place. While Kazuki and Osato are horrified at the sudden turn of events, Yukami is super hyped up and reveals that she always wanted to go to another world and meet monsters and heroes. Just then, the man sitting on the throne apologizes to them and reveals that he is Lloyd Linger, the king of the Linger Kingdom, and the one who summoned them to this world. He tells them that they were summoned as heroes to this kingdom, causing panic in Kazuki's eyes while sparking enthusiasm in Yukami. He tells them that 2 years ago, they came under attack by this world's king of demons along with his army, and after an intense battle, they only managed to repel them. Since then, the demon lord has been strengthening his forces, aiming to destroy this kingdom. He also tells them that, as a last resort to protect the kingdom, they use forbidden magic, allowing them to summon those from another world with the potential to defeat the demon lord, a process they call hero summoning. While Yukami is happy about this, Kazuki rejects this request and asks him to send them back to their own world, revealing that he has his family waiting there. However, King Lloyd tells him that this is not possible. He further clarifies that the hero summon spell only works in one direction, meaning they can bring the heroes to this world but can't send them back. Angered at this, Kazuki tries to attack them, but Osato stops him. Just then, King Lloyd bows down before them, calling them heroes, and asks them to lend their powers to defeat the demon lord, promising that he will try to find a way to send them back to their world in the near future. After that, Yukami asks why they call them heroes and thinks they must have mistaken about them. The king's right hand, Welsi, informs them that the hero summon magic circle contains a spell that seeks out those with hero potential, and hearing the sound of the bell is their proof. However, Osato reveals that he didn't hear anything, which means he just got caught up in it. After that, Welsi takes them to her room to check their magical aptitude with her crystal ball. Kazuki asks Osato if he is okay with this since he was dragged into this without being summoned. However, Osato tells him that he is fine with it. He may not be a hero, but he wants to do something for this country. Just then, Welsie asks Inukami to put her hand on the magic crystal ball, and when she does, it is revealed that Inukami has the power of thunder magic. She then asks Kazuki to put his hand on the crystal, and when he does, it is revealed that Kazuki possesses the power of light, a rare ability that can easily extinguish any evil. After that, she asks Osato to put his hand on the crystal, and when he does, the crystal emits a green light. In a horrifying state, Welsie grabs his hand and rushes out of the room, dragging him along. She informs King Lloyd about Inukami's thunder magic and Kazuki's light magic, but is horrified while revealing Osato's magic. King Lloyd speculates that Osato might possess dark magic, an ability typically controlled by demons, but she clarifies that the crystal turned green. Hearing this, King Lloyd also becomes horrified and advises her not to mention it loudly since this type of magic is very rare. He believes they need to get Osato as far away from the castle as possible and wonders if there's any safe place for him in the kingdom. Before they prepare for his departure, Osato questions King Lloyd about his magic and expresses concern about its nature. Just then, a girl with green hair enters, causing panic among everyone present, including the king. She inquires about summon magic and heroes, looks at Osato, and concludes that he must be the summoned hero. However, King Lloyd corrects her mistake, stating that Osato is not a hero and was summoned by mistake. The green-haired girl is revealed to be Rose, the captain of the kingdom's rescue squad. Seeing Rose's intimidating appearance, Osato thinks she doesn't look like someone from a rescue squad but rather from a killing squad. Welsie offers to take Rose to the hero's room, and she happily agrees. Just as Rose is about to leave, King Lloyd suggests that Osato rest in the room while they contemplate the situation. However, Osato presses him for information about his magic and the significance of the magical crystal turning green. At the mention of the color green, Rose stops and asks the king for permission to borrow Osato. In a horrified state, King Lloyd instructs Welsie to send Osato as far away as possible, and she complies. However, Rose is exceptionally fast, catching up to him quickly and even disrupting Welsie's magical spell to capture Osato. She then informs King Lloyd that she intends to train Osato as a proper healer and leaves the palace. It is revealed that despite being summoned accidentally into this world, Osato possesses rare healer magic. Welsie informs Inukami and Kazuki about this, and Rose's plans to make Osato her subordinate since she also possesses healing magic abilities. Inukami thinks this might not be a bad thing, but Welsie warns her that Miss Rose's training methods are extremely harsh, and those who undergo her training become mentally tough. After reaching her house, Rose explains the concept of healing magic to Osato. She introduces him to his subordinates, including Tong, Mill, Alec, Gommel, and Gerd, all of whom have a scary appearance. Apologizing for their intimidating looks, Tong clarifies that this is their way of introducing themselves. Rose then informs Osato that the rescue squad has only 2 healers who are currently on duty elsewhere. With a more fearsome expression, she informs him that she will enhance his use of healing magic, leaving Osato to request a change of instructor. However, she departs, stating that his training will commence early the next morning. Shocked, Osato contemplates what lies ahead but resolves to give it his best effort before bidding the night farewell. The next day, our healer magician, Usato, wakes up and realizes that it isn't a dream and that he's really in another world. One of the guys comes to his room and tells him that he has visitors. He steps outside and meets Kazuki and Inukami, who are relieved that he's alright. He apologizes for worrying them and tells them he's still alive. That's until he remembers that Rose exists, and that she will train him starting today, which means that he might not be alive tomorrow. However, he reveals that he has nothing else to do and this is also a chance to do something useful. Inukami is impressed by those words and reveals they will also start their training today. Hearing this, Kazuki turns to Usato and promises to give his best in this world as the two depart. Rose suddenly steps outside and asks if the heroes are gone. Usato confirms. Rose then explains he's not in prison and can meet his friends when he wants, as long as he isn't training. Usato thanks her and she gives him a diary. She explains that he should write down his training experiences as it will prove useful to him in the future. After the breakfast, Rose starts his training. Our healer magician's first task is to concentrate and relax. He feels something on his chest, and Rose explains that's magic, and reveals she will teach him how to draw it out of his body. After finishing that training, Rose orders him to read a book. Usato is confused because he cannot read the language in this world, but upon opening it, he realizes that he can read and understand. Rose explains that upon being summoned by the hero spell, everyone has a translation spell cast on them. She shows him some of the images in the book and explains their current location and where the demons live. Usato realizes they're close to each other, and she replies that Linger Kingdom is the demon's first target. She tells him to read the book as he will learn about the world, nations, races, and demons. Usato starts reading it, thinking this training is easy. However, the second day was different as Rose forced him to run. On the third day, he was forced to run until his body couldn't handle it anymore, and as a result, his body gave up and he fell to the ground. But Rose got mad and slapped his legs with healing magic. He rolled around complaining about the pain until he realized that he didn't feel any pain at all. Rose informs him that she healed all his muscle soreness with magic, therefore, he should start running once again. Usus gets up and runs for his life, but she tells him that even if he dies, she will heal him back to life just to make him run. On the fourth day, our healer magician, Usato, started to train with the other squad members. However, the bandits were insulting him as they overlapped him. He then continued to run during the fifth and sixth day, but was slow and lazy and ends up falling to the ground. However, while trying to get up, he notices that his hand is glowing with green energy and realizes that it is a healing magic. Days 7, 8 and 9 were pretty much the same. Usato run into exhaustion, get kicked, and repeat it for the whole day. However, he realizes that he's using healing magic and doesn't feel pain or injuries. On the 10th day, he started to use healing magic on his will and can now run without getting tired, but wonders if he will be able to help Kazuki and Inuyukami with just running training. The next day, Rose added 1,000 push-ups to his training program. While doing the push-ups, Rose asks if he knows why she's forcing him to train his body. Usato wonders, but she explains it's because he needs to run from the enemy on the battlefield and save his fallen comrades. Therefore, the faster he runs, the faster he will be able to save them. Yato is surprised by those words, but she orders him to continue doing push-ups. On the 12th day, Usato ran during the whole morning and spent his afternoon doing more push-ups, but he noticed that his body felt a bit lighter. Yet Rose also noticed something was going on and added some weights while he ran. The next day, he continued to train that way until he noticed that on the 14th day, his lunch went missing. He asks his comrades about it, but Tong simply replies it was delicious. Our healer magician, Usato, gets mad and throws a cup of water at him, followed by a punch. Tong dodges it as he explains that internal fights are banned from the rescue squad. In the end, Tong runs away laughing while Usato chases him without any effort despite carrying some weights. A week later, Kazuki and Inuyukami visit him alongside the princess and a knight. Upon arriving there, they get shocked to see Usato doing push-ups with Rose sitting on a huge rock on top of him. She complains that he's too slow and motivates him not to quit. Usus refuses to quit and mocks her, saying that she is very light. Rose replies to him with putting another rock on top. Despite this, Usato continues to push forward, using his magic to heal himself. Seeing this, Rose admires his determination, saying that he's becoming her type of guy and that at this rate, she might take him with her way sooner than she thought. Kazuki and Inuyukami cannot believe Usato is doing all this, but Inuyukami quickly starts drooling after checking his muscles. However, the knight, Siglis, gets angry and grabs Rose's collar, asking what she is doing to him. He says that she's trying to destroy Usato, but Rose simply replies that he can train his knights however he wants, but she will use her methods to make Usato become her right-hand man. Therefore, she cannot go easy on him. Rose reveals that what she loves the most about Usato is that he doesn't give up and has been able to survive her hellish training. Hearing this, Usato gets worried because Siglis will probably make his training even harder, but to his surprise, Rose orders him to take a break and have lunch. While resting under a tree, Usato finds out that the guy is the kingdom's strongest knight and is the one who's teaching Kazuki and Inuyukami how to use the sword. Usato finds it impressive but turns to the princess, asking who she is. She introduces herself, and he apologizes because he was being rude. Kazuki then asks if Usato's training has always been as bad as just now. However, our healer magician simply replies that today was pretty easy and asks about theirs. Kazuki replies that their training is hard, in which Sages teaches them swordsmanship while Y teaches them magic, but they always take care of their physical and mental conditions. Kazuki then apologizes, but Usato doesn't understand why and tries to get another slice of pie. Inuyukami uses this chance to check out our boy's muscles. Usato gets shy, but she's totally into his huge abs. Kazuki then asks Usato if he's having a hard time. Usus confirms, saying that he had it really hard in the beginning and wanted to run, but he's fine now. He explains that Rose scares him, but he doesn't feel like running away because he enjoys training and life here. He then shows his healing magic and explains that they will be fighting as heroes, therefore, he wants to help with something. Suddenly, Tong appears and mentions that he has Usato's lunch. Our healer magician gets annoyed and pulls his freaky face, questioning his attitude and smiling despite what he did. Tong also uses his freaky face, telling him to forget about his past grudge. Usato gets up, refusing to forget about his missing lunch, and charges forward. The two start brawling in front of everyone, making the princess scared. However, Kazuki tells her it's fine as it seems like this is just a part of his daily life, while Yukami believes that he's fitting into this world way faster than them. This motivates Kazuki to return to the castle and continue his training. The next day, Rose throws him a bag and tells him they are going outside. His comrades get worried as they reflect on those words and realize it's finally time. Our healer magician gets confused, but Rose simply takes him to the castle gate and tells the guard he will show the outside world to his comrade. The guard opens the door and let them out. They start walking, and Usato asks where they're heading, but Rose tells him to shut up and follow her. After some hours, they reach a cliff. Rose reveals that ahead of him, there's a forest called the Darkness of Linger, which is famous for having dangerous monsters. She then gives him his orders, saying that he can only come home after killing a grand grizzly. Usato tries to refuse it, mentioning that grand grizzly usually become the strongest after 100 years, and he doesn't know how to fight because she only taught him how to run. However, Rose gets annoyed and throws our healer magician into the forest. Right before falling into the forest, he activates his healing magic and successfully lands on the ground while covering his body with healing magic. He is relieved to be alive and thanks God for giving him the healing magic, but thinks about Rose's order and how to kill the grand grizzly. Just then, the grand grizzly sneaks up from behind, panicking our healer magician and chasing after him. Usato runs towards the other side of the forest, realizing that he cannot defeat a grand grizzly of that size. Yet, he remembers the hellish training Rose and decides to fight it out, but quickly runs away after seeing two more blue grizzlies coming after him too. Before they can capture him, he jumps from the cliff and falls into the water spring, thus saving his life. After that, he takes cover under a tree and thinks about Rose and how much food she has given him, wondering that she should have given him something to start a fire with so he can sleep peacefully in the forest. Yet, he eats some food and decides to call it a day and leave it to the next day. The next day, Usato begins to gather information about grand grizzlies and their hideouts. He reaches near the cave where he sees claw marks of the grand grizzly, believing that he must be near, but hears a sound coming from a nearby bush and backs off. However, the sound turns out to be from a small black rabbit who comes out wounded from the bushes. Our healer magician, Usato, who has a kind heart and cannot see others in pain, quickly heads toward it and heals its injured leg with his healing magic. After that, the black rabbit starts following him, believing that he is a kind person. But Usato stops him, revealing that he is after a scary monster and does not want him to get hurt. However, the rabbit insists and chases after him. Seeing this, Usato wonders if the rabbit can be helpful and decides to ask him about the location of the grand grizzly, but gets surprised after the black rabbit takes him to the location of the grand grizzly, which turns out to be a family of 3. He thanks him for helping him out and continues spying on them. After a few days, his water supply runs out, and he begins to drink the river water, which turns out to be very bad for him as he falls into the stomach and cannot heal his pain with the healing magic. The black rabbit comes back again and takes him to a spot between the trees. There, he sees a pool of clean water and drinks it, revealing that it is better than his old water. Just then, the horrified black rabbit senses something and climbs up the tree, asking Usato to come there too. Usato looks at the black rabbit who is giving a terrified look and wonders what he's afraid of. Just then, a big snake comes out from a forest and gives a chilling vibe to Usato, who, after seeing its size, believes that if he gets near to it, he will be killed in no time. However, he realizes that he must kill the grand grizzly and return home safely, otherwise he might get in the way of the big snake. He decides to head to the location of the grand grizzlies, but the black rabbit stops him, revealing that it's dangerous to go out in the forest while raining. Our healer magician agrees and takes a day off. The next day, he reaches the location of the grand grizzlies but finds them dead. He wonders what happened to them but sees the bite marks, believing that the giant snake must have killed them. He explains that the giant snake did not just kill them for food, but for fun. Just then, he sees the child of the grand grizzly coming out of the ground and wonders how it escaped. He then thinks about Rose's orders to kill a giant grizzly, and seeing a baby grizzly, believes that he might be able to complete his task, but stops after seeing the baby grizzly crying over the corpses of its parents. Our healer magician, Usato, reveals that he may have gone through hellish training just to defeat Rose and complete this task. But he does not like what happened to the parents of the baby grizzly, so he decides to avenge their death and heads to the inner side of the forest. At the kingdom, Kazuki and Inukami visit the rescue squad headquarters to meet Usato. There, Tong tells them that he's been training in the forest and is gone for 10 days. Despite their persistence, the bandits don't tell them about his training, and they leave. On the way, Kazuki is worried about Usato and asks Inukami the same, who reveals that she believes in him and he will be fine under the leadership of Miss Rose. The next day, Usato eats his remaining food and heads to the location of the giant snake, asking the black rabbit to lead the way. Upon arriving, our healer magician gets scared at the size of the snake but sees the baby grizzly already being beaten up by him. Despite this, he believes that no one can match the scarier look of Miss Rose and charges at him with his spear. The snake tries to eat him, but he quickly avoids it and retaliates by knocking out one of his eyes with his spear, despite getting hit by the tail of the snake. He quickly heals himself and believes he can fight with him. He charges at him again, and this time gets bitten by the snake on his left arm. But he turns this into an opportunity as his hand was already in his mouth, and uses the knife in his hand to sever the inner part of the snake. Just then, he feels unconscious and believes this might be due to the poison of the snake in his body. However, our healer magician reveals that he had already figured out how to cure his inner parts, mentioning his stomach incident in the forest. He then climbs on the body of the snake with the help of a baby grizzly, who holds his tail with his hands, and hits him with a powerful punch, causing him to fall to the ground, and begins piercing his injured eye with a spear while the baby grizzly keeps his tail in hold. Just then, their combination works, and the snake goes unconscious. The baby grizzly thanks him for avenging his parents by licking his cheek and hugging him, but to their shock, the giant snake rises up and heads toward them. Before he can kill them off, Usato thinks about Rose and blames her for putting him through this, and calls her out by saying she is a beast, brute, and an ogre. Just then, Rose arrives and lands on the skull of the giant snake, killing him on the spot. Usato wonders why she is here, and Rose reveals that the black rabbit is her pet and she sent him to look after him. She revealed that she was waiting at the edge of the forest, just in case something bad happened to him. However, she wasn't going to interfere in the first place, but after seeing the giant snake, she had no choice. She then revealed that the giant snake is a monster who is modified by the demon army and even sigils cannot defeat him. Despite this, she is shocked to see that the giant snake was able to kill the Grand Grizzly, whom their kingdom's elite forces cannot even beat. Usato asks why she put him through this test despite knowing the power of Grand Grizzly, to which Rose explains that she did not expect him to beat the Grand Grizzly but wanted him to gain experience by fighting a stronger opponent. Before leaving, she asks Usato to take the baby grizzly with him as he has taken a liking to him. However, she stops and informs him that she heard him calling her a beast, brute, and ogre, giving him a scary look while revealing he won't be getting any good sleep tonight. After reaching the border of the kingdom, Rose informs him that he has earned the right to become his right man in the battlefield, revealing that his body can withstand pain, physical prowess, and an indomitable spirit, which the other two healers lack. She then informs him to get ready for battle as the Demon Lord's army will make its move soon. At the Demon Lord's castle, the Demon Lord asks the 3rd Army Commander Armilla about their preparation to invade Linger Kingdom, to which she tells him that all of their units have already prepared, and they will soon advance to the Linger Kingdom. After sharing all the information she had about advancing to the Linger Kingdom, the Demon Lord told her that the last time, they had a close battle with the Linger Kingdom, and they were able to repel them. However, this time, he wants to destroy them completely.